if every athlete who's getting millions of dollars would take hundreds of thousands of dollars every year and just take it and put it in and buy and front load a life insurance, a whole life insurance policy, and front load it and get all of those protection for your family and just let it sit there and do nothing else with it, even though you can do other amazing things with it. Just let it sit there for the rest of their life. Their family would be so secure, they would never have to worry about anything. And when they did pass away, regardless of what their other investments and all were, their beneficiaries would get tax-free money.
My money.
Money.
I get money from you.
Money in the bank.
Young money.
Money, 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 money. It's a rich man's world.
What made you become one of the best in the game, Rick? What was it, some childhood desire? What made you really be good?
I was lucky enough to have a father who was a great athlete himself. He was a semi-pro player and coach, and an older brother, Dennis, who got into basketball when he was 9. And so I wanted to do everything he did. And so he was very helpful to me. And I think probably because the two of them taught me the fundamentals of the game. I think anything that you do in life, and this is the advice I would give to young people, is whatever it is that you have in life, you should find the passion. And when you have that passion, find out as much about whatever it is that you love and work your tail off to learn everything you can about the fundamental principles and concepts of whatever that is, whether it's music, whether it's art, whether it's sports. It doesn't matter. That's your foundation that you build on. And without a big foundation, you can't build a skyscraper. It's going to topple over. So the more information you have, the more knowledgeable you are about what it is that you love, better the opportunity for you to have great success. And then if you're blessed with God-given talent and natural ability in sports, or whether you're a prodigy or something in music, you're going to become as good as you can become and maximize your full potential. There are so many people in this world today that will never be as good as they should be because they never learn the fundamental principles and concepts of what it is that they're doing.
Rick, we can almost start right there. I mean, that's the best advice. I mean, no, I couldn't agree with you anymore. I mean, find something you love and just follow it. Now, one of the things you get known for was the underhanded, the underhanded free throw technique. How did that all develop?
That's my father. That's all about my father. My father shot that way when he played, and he just said, "Son, I think you could be a better shooter, shoot a higher percentage." And in basketball, that's the only part of the game you can be selfish, only care about yourself, and still help your team. So I did that. I finally did it. I said, Dad, I can't shoot this way because girls shoot this way. He said that may be true, but you're doing yourself and your team a disservice because you're not going to be as good as you should be. And so I finally did it to get him off my back. And I went out one summer before either my junior or senior year in high school. I don't remember which one, to be honest. And I really worked at it. I said, wow, this is pretty good. And I was about a 75% free throw shooter. And when I went to the Underhanded, that first season that I shot over 80% for the first time. I just kept getting better and better and better. And like everything else in life, never be satisfied with what you're doing. I kept working on it. I got to be best at the end of my career. My 2 best seasons free throw shooting were at the end of my career. I wish I was smart enough to have did what I did at the end of my career. With 6 years remaining, I changed the technique. I refined the technique. I really examined it and said, wait a second, I got to make this better. So I changed it. I was willing to make the change. My last 6 years, my percentage for my last 6 years is better than anybody has ever done in the history of the NBA. As far as over a period of time like that, I think I'm like 3rd or 4th or something overall. But I shot a lot of free throws early in my career, and I was only in the high 80s. I eventually got it up to right close to 90%. But my last 6 years, I shot over 92%. My last 2 years, I shot over 94%. I only missed 19. I missed 9 free throws in one season and 10 free throws in another season, the entire season. There are players in the league. Andre Drummond from the Pistons, from seasons ago, missed 23 free throws in one game. Can you imagine that? I think I would have slit my wrist. and so people have to understand, never be satisfied with what you're doing. Always strive to improve, because the moment you feel that you've got it and you got it made, that's the start of your downward spiral. You have got to always strive better at what you're doing.
Rick, I couldn't agree with you more. That's a lovely man. And now, because when you were in 1965 or 66, whatever, you were the Rookie of the Year. How did that feel when you're Rookie of the Year, Rick?
Well, to be honest with you, the Rookie of the Year was no big deal because actually I made first team All Pro, which is a much more prestigious thing to be able to accomplish as a rookie. It's not happened very often in the NBA that a rookie has come in and made first team All Pro. And so obviously if I made first team All Pro, the Rookie of the Year just kind of came along with it.
Because I guess the first year you averaged like 25 points and you got roughly 10 and a half rebounds per game. It was pretty good, wasn't it?
Yeah, those are great numbers. The double-double, I mean, 25 points and 10 rebounds a game is pretty significant. There's very few players, I think, that have ever done that in any year of their career. But I didn't play for statistics, to be perfectly honest with you, Barry. In fact, it's been really interesting over the last year or so, a couple years, because we're getting so statistically oriented in sports. I pick up a USA Today or I hear on TV or a friend of mine sends me something that they found in the newspaper or they saw on TV and took a picture of it of Rick Barry's listed for having done this and Rick Barry's listed for having done that. And I had no idea that I even did that, Barry, because I only wanted to win. And I just wanted to win a championship. I went out to play the best that I could play every time I put my uniform on. I can honestly say there's only one game of my entire professional career, one quarter of one game that I wasn't mentally ready to play. And I didn't play well in that quarter. I was so upset with myself. If I could have kicked myself in the ass, I would have done it.
But you had a fascinating career, Rick. By the way, I don't know if you ever see the wiki page on you, whatever. But I've known you for some time. But you went from the NBA, then you went to the ABA. Was one of the teams that Pat Boone, I guess, was part owner or whatever on it, and then you went. Then you went back to the NBA with the Golden, State Warriors, then the Rockets, and then into broadcasting with CBS and all that stuff. Was there any one of these things you enjoyed more? Was it playing the game? Was it broadcasting?
Well, I obviously playing is the thing that I love doing. I love playing basketball, and so I was fortunate enough to have a long, successful career, and broadcasting was a part of it. When I was in college, you couldn't have a minor if you were in the business school, and I majored in marketing, got my degree. But I had enough credits that I probably could have had a major in radio, TV, and film work, because that's what I wanted to do. When I grew up in New Jersey, I saw Pat Summerall and Frank Gifford go from the into the broadcast booth, and I said, wow, that'd be kind of cool to do. But honestly, my main love when I was younger was actually baseball. I wanted to be a
you like that the most, am I correct?
Yeah, I was a much better baseball player in high school than I was a basketball player, and Willie Mays is my hero. That's why I wore number 24. My father, when he taught me how to play baseball, taught me how to do the basket catch like Willie Mays did, which is a rather unique way of doing it. And so when I was watching the Giants and I saw this rookie come up and he's catching the ball like my dad taught me, I said, oh, there's my guy. Turned out to be a pretty good choice. And so unfortunately, I guess in a way, I had a junior varsity baseball coach that wouldn't let me play when I didn't pitch. And so I finally said, look, I'm going to play when I don't pitch. I'm batting 500 better than anybody in the team. I can play every position. I don't want to catch, but I could play every position. And if I'm not going to play when I'm not pitching, I don't want to play. And so the next game I pitch, I go 1 for 2. And next game I'm on the bench. And so I just picked up my stuff, gave him my gear, and I went home. And I said, okay, I'm going to start playing basketball and focus on that a little more. And so that's what I did. And it worked out pretty well. I still went and played varsity. The varsity coach the next year as a junior and asked me if I would come out for the team. And I said, well, yeah. But I said, am I going to play if I'm not pitching? He says, oh, you're going to play. Don't worry. So I played. I made All-State 2 years and in a row. But my love for the passion that, I all of a sudden I got into basketball more. And so I really focused my attention on working more on my basketball game. Try to get me to play down in Miami. In fact, they tried to get me to go out for the football team because I used to go out and run pass patterns with George Myra, who was the quarterback down there who played for the 49ers. And I had great hands. So, anything near me, I can catch it one-handed, all kinds of stuff and all. I said, well, you know what? If you can change the rules to two-hand touch, I'll come out for the team.
So now the funny thing is, but all your boys ended up in the game too. Did you? All your boys ended up playing the game of basketball, and they're in.
Yeah, well, I have five boys.
5 boys.
All 5 have had Division I college scholarships. All 5 have played professional basketball. 3 of them in the NBA. My youngest son, Canyon, may still have a chance to do that, but he's on the He was on the USA 3x3 World Cup team, and they won the gold medal last year in June over in Amsterdam. And that's the only gold medal in basketball that the USA had never won. And he was an integral part of the success of that team. He led the team in scoring in 4 of their 7 games. They went undefeated and won the gold. And so that was a great experience. And then, unfortunately, they didn't qualify for the Olympics, winning the World Cup, which didn't make any sense to me. And so what it did is qualify them to be in the qualifying tournament to see who's going to be in the Olympics. And then he had to try out again. Because he was on the World Cup team, he wasn't assured a spot. They had to try out. And he got chosen again to be on that team. And they were actually in the middle of their working out to get ready to go over to the tournament in India when COVID hit. And so, obviously everything got pushed back. And now that's scheduled for May of next year. So I'm praying that everything works out for him. He gets to continue to play ball, and hopefully that team can go over there. If they finish 3rd or better, they'll qualify for the Olympics, and then he could conceivably become an Olympian, which is one of the biggest disappointments I had in my career, that I wasn't afforded that opportunity, which is a whole nother story. And that would be great if he was able to do that. And I said to him, hey, you've already experienced something that very few people in the world ever get to do, and that is you were a world champion in a sport. So it's pretty cool.
Now, just kind of switch gears for a second. I got to know you, was about 10 years ago with Mitch, and when I wrote my first book, the Pirates. Remember this book?
Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah, Pirates. Yeah.
Pirates of Manhattan.
Manhattan, not Caribbean. Pirates of Manhattan.
Manhattan, and you were very, very kind. You read the book and you endorsed it. And the reason why I bring this up is because you're a bright guy. You're not only a good athlete, but you're a bright guy. And a lot of people just don't know the craziness going on right now. The casino mentality of everything. And what, as kind of a guy who's been there and done that, what would you, what are the things you learned from that book or anything? I know I'm obviously self-promotion, but you're also you say what you believe, and you're very strong in that.
Well, I mean, I think that most people sometimes get led down the primrose lane, but keep telling them all these wonderful things: do this, do that, invest in that. And if you really do your research and you study and you read a lot of things like your book and all, and what Mitch had told me, and here's where I'm really upset, is that when I was in college, I actually had my life insurance agent license, but yet nobody ever told me about how you can use life insurance in the proper manner, one of the safest, most secure investments you can conceivably make. And it's amazing how many people have no clue that it even exists. And so I still do it to this day. I use it as a forced savings account. I put money in every quarter. I know that my money that's going in there is increasing the death benefit for my beneficiaries, and yet I'm making tax-free, guaranteed dividend. Tax-free, folks, guaranteed. And on top of it, you also get some more, and you get some other interest and stuff, and other dividend from them that is usually more than the guaranteed 4%. And I think in 150 might be up to 160 years now, that if you're in a mutual insurance company and all, they have paid a dividend, a lot of them, for over 150 years. So you get tax-free guarantee, but it's usually more than the 4%. How do you really beat that? It's one of the safest, most secure investments you can possibly make. And if I had known that when I first started out, even though I didn't make a lot of money when I first started, they forgot 3 zeros on my contract when I played. I never heard $15 million. I made 15,000. If I had the kind of money, if every athlete who's getting millions of dollars would take hundreds of thousands of dollars every year and just take it and put it in and buy and front load a life insurance, a whole life insurance policy, and front load it and get all of those protection for your family, and just let it sit there and do nothing else with it, even though you can do other amazing things with it. Just let it sit there for the rest of their life. Their family would be so secure, they would never have to worry about anything. And when they did pass away, regardless of what their other investments and all were, their beneficiaries would get tax-free money. And it would be a significant amount of money if you started when you're in your 20s. It's crazy. You start looking at the numbers and compounding interest and everything else. And then on top of it, you can borrow money because you've got a cash value, borrow the money at a great rate, and you're still going to make your guaranteed freaking tax-free freaking dividends. I mean, when I first learned that, I said, come on, you got to be yanking my chain here. There's no way that that works. So anyway, people they really need to learn more about that. I try to tell my other sons about it, but what the hell? They're hearing it from their father. What do I know? I don't know anything.
Yeah, but it's funny. But then I get to know you because I came up with the book, and I said, "Oh, by the way, this is where the banks put all their money." I think when I was younger, there was so much importance put on the fundamentals whenever you do. I was a hockey player, and it was always like you had to be a really good skater, and you had to really work hard, and eventually you get better. But there was really a stress on the fundamentals, and you can't get something for nothing. But today, I think we almost have a culture, Rick, where it's like you can get something for nothing, but you really can't, can you?
Oh, you can get something for nothing, but you're liable to pay a dear price for it in the long run. So, be very careful of someone, bearing free gifts. What's the catch? A lot of times there's a catch to it. The thing is, in front loaning a whole life insurance policy on the mutual company in the life insurance business, there's no catch to it. There is absolutely no catch to it. It's probably one of the safest and most secure investments you could ever make. And as you say, banks do it all the time. Walt Disney started his company doing that. What's her name? Who was it? Mrs. Fields did it. Started her company.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
all kinds of stories about people who used their life insurance and the cash value they had in that to be able to start up some very successful businesses.
Yeah, so I tell people all you need is a Mickey Mouse plan,
Yeah, it worked well for Walt, that's for sure.
Yeah, it worked well for Walt, because it's crazy. I was looking at this before I got on the line, and ETF, which is the latest and greatest, like, do you know the statistic on this, Rick, are unbelievable. There was 276 ETF exchange traded funds in 2003, and you want to know how many there are now, Rick? Just take a guess.
There's probably thousands of them.
Yeah, close to 7,000.
Some of them are actually pretty good. Because you get a diversified portfolio in a certain field, and then some of them have a nice return, but it's still never going to be as safe as taking your money and getting guaranteed 4% tax-free, and usually more than 4% every single year, and then have the protection that you have for tax-free death benefit for your beneficiaries. That's about as pretty good as it gets.
And who also thinks like you? Was it the Shaq O'Neal? He was after you.
Oh, he's a lot younger than I am, yeah.
And he's a lot younger, but anyway, so he's a big believer in annuities as well. When we talk, you're involved in the Wounded Warrior product?
No, I'm not involved. I know about the Wounded Warriors. I met the people who did it. They actually had some difficulties a number of years ago, and I guess they got those straightened out as to where the funds were all going. But I am involved with a gentleman right now named Noam Baram, and what he's doing, and I'm going to be, you'll hear a lot more about this. He is buying up, great properties, old hotels and things of that nature that are all very superior quality. We're taking veterans off the street, giving them a place to live. We're treating them, we're educating them, we're giving them counseling, all for free. And I'm really excited about this. In fact, of all the things I've done in my life, this is probably the most meaningful thing I've ever done, because I'm a huge supporter of our military. Without the military, we would not be the country that we are today. And I just talked the other day to some people, and I say, and I know all the stuff with the Black Lives Matter and everything. Of course, we know that, and everybody knows that everybody's lives matter. But certainly in the Black community, you don't know what it's like unless you've lived it and been there. And not every Black person has suffered the way a lot of Black people have, and not every Asian person has suffered. You're looking what happened to the Japanese when they had the war and they were put in internment camps and all kinds of stuff. But the single most abused ethnicity in this country is the American Indian.
Yeah, I agree.
We took their land from them, and if you really want to get up and have some kind of a big program, they try to help them out, and now they've done some stuff with some of the reservations, some of the casinos and stuff. But I've been to reservations. I've talked to kids at the school. I've seen what's going on, and it's kind of sad. Not kind of sad. It's really sad, actually. The suicide rates, the alcoholism, the other things that are going on. These people are ones that need a lot of help. They're really mistreated. And then second to them, not taking anything away from the Black lives, from people worrying about, who are Black, I think are the American veterans. I think the American veterans are treated like horse shit. I mean, these people put their lives on the line for us. They go back and where they're not taken care of the way that they should be. They're finally having a lot of reformation and stuff and changes to the VA and trying to help in that area, which I'm trying to do some stuff with as well. And so I'm really excited about this program of getting the veterans off the street. We're starting up in the New York metropolitan area, going to work down the coast and hopefully eventually take this thing national, working with a guy named Rick Cantwell, who's with the PTSI Foundation, which is post-traumatic stress injury. They're trying to change the D from disorder to injury, which makes sense. This is an injury. And a lot of people are suffering from that, and then they can't sleep and all. And then I'm involved with some other companies that have some stuff in the medical field that can be very helpful to them with the different treatments. I mean, I'm just really immersed in that. And we're starting another company called RBC 24 Brands. And one of the things we're going to do there with this great CBD products and other stuff that we have is that if people purchase one is going to be given to our veterans. And so we're going to try to help those out that are in some of these facilities where we're trying to take care of them and give them another life.
Is it up and running now, Rick? Do you have a website
Yeah,
for it?
the first, I think he already has the first one. I think the first people are moving in, I think either the beginning of September or, but yeah, I think it's going to be like 137 or 160 different ones. And they're going to have their own room. These are really nice facilities. I mean, the first one is a hotel. There used to be a 3.5 star hotel. So it's not like you're sticking them in some dump. I mean, we're sticking them into and they're going to have their own room. And then I'm involved with a company that has a system called Cortex that's pretty special, that a gentleman who was involved in the space program and did a lot of stuff with the CIA, all top secret stuff, a very technological genius. And he's created this Cortex system. And so when these veterans are going to be in their hotel room, let's say all of a sudden they're feeling really bad, depressed and doing stuff. Well, there's not going to be like a whole huge staff of people in the facility, but there will be people there. But let's suppose one guy's in having a meeting and this other guy's really hurting and he needs to talk to somebody, blah, blah, blah. Well, he's going to go onto the Cortex system, which hooks up to a TV through the HDMI cable. It doesn't have to be a smart TV, but we're going to have everyone in the room with this little box of his. He can take his remote, turn it on, hit a button, and he can get somebody who's a psychologist or something on the phone to talk to him, walk him through the problems that he's having, and all kinds of other wonderful things that can be done with this Cortex system. It's really, really exciting stuff. I'm really thrilled about it, to be perfectly honest.
That's really cool, Rick, because my dad, I think I told him my dad was a Marine in Guadalcanal, and he was such a wonderful, wonderful guy. Unfortunately, he died young when I was of cancer, but he was just he was a very strong guy. And back in the day, Rick, I don't know if your dad was in the war, but the trauma my father went through, it haunted him for the rest of his whole life. And so that's always been very dear to me, because I get it. My father had nightmares all of his life, and these guys.
We're trying to help them. That's part of the thing that we're doing. Different treatments and other things of that nature. Stuff like CBD. We're working on getting some testing and everything else done, so it can actually have definitive proof of what it can and cannot do. But it's doing a lot of great things right now. But yeah, this is an exciting program, and I got a couple of other things that I think are going to change the world of agriculture, and another one that's going to change the world of plastics. Some companies I'm dealing with now that have just really, I mean, I'm so pumped up right now. I need to be like 35 years old, because I
Well, you sound like a kid, Rick,
Well, I don't feel old. I mean, I feel great. I don't feel any differently than I felt when I was when I was 50 years old. I just can't jump as fast, jump as high, or run as fast. But I just have a lot of exciting things going on that are going to be really life-changing things. I mean, just think about being able to have something that can take all the different plants, protect them from diseases that right now they have no cure for, protect them, increase the yield of products, make them bigger, fuller. I mean, it's crazy what this one product has. And then the same thing with plastics. I mean, just think of all of the stuff that's gone on with plastics, that the ocean is filled with all this crazy stuff. It's just depressing. And then you've got the landfills, and it takes take years and years and years and years and years for this stuff to biodegrade. This stuff can bioassimilate and turn into nothing. So
that's cool. Really?
Let's say you get a plastic bottle and you have this product that's in there. It costs hardly anything to do it. you throw it away. Whether you throw it in the ocean or whether you throw it in a landfill, depending upon where it is, when it's exposed to the outside elements, it will actually not only biodegrade, bioassimilate, turns into absolutely nothing left over from it in 120 to 720 days. Unbelievable.
That's really cool.
And some other things too, to take it and improve the life and the of like lettuce and fruits and vegetables and stuff. And then when you throw the packaging away, the package will bioassimilate as well. It's so freaking incredible what these guys have. I'm just feel blessed to have met the owners of both of these companies and to have hit it off with them, and for them to afford me the opportunity to be involved with them to take this to the world.
You've kind of answered my question, but what do you think is the most important thing in anyone's success for anyone's career? Is it the passion, the persistence? Is it discipline, tenacity? No short answer for that, huh? What?
Honesty.
Yeah.
Got to be honest with yourself. And then you'd have to be honest to the people that you're dealing with. There's a lot of dishonest people out there. But then I think the one quality when I talk to businesses and whatever, and I go over a whole lot of different things, you can name a myriad of characteristics and stuff that you should have, like you said, preparation, intuitiveness. You have to go ahead and learn about things. You have to have pride. You'd have to have passion. I mean, there's so many things that you can talk about. Dedication, determination, just keep going on and on. Effort. But it all comes down to the one characteristic that if you do not have this, I don't think you can really, truly, fully maximize your potential in whatever it is that you've trained to do. And that is, you have to have confidence in your ability to do what it is you've trained to do. And if you have confidence, I just listened the other day and I almost wanted to throw up. I was listening to Kendrick Perkins, a former player, played for the Celtics and some other teams. He's on doing on ESPN. He's on with Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman. And they're on there making this whole big thing for this whole section of their telecast, talking about who has more pressure on him. The pressure's more on this guy. The pressure's more on this guy. And it just showed, I said, I wish I could have been on that program. To say, you guys obviously have no idea what you're talking about. Because if you have confidence in your ability, pressure doesn't exist. Pressure does not exist in the world in and of itself, unless you're building up something with steam and something. But for you as an individual, pressure doesn't exist. It's just not there. You don't see pressure. It doesn't there. You only feel pressure if you don't have confidence in your ability to do what you have to do in a critical situation. Then you can choke like a dog and you're going to feel the pressure. But if you have confidence, you live for that. I tell people, I wish every game, if I had to go back and start my life over and play in sports, I would want every game that I play in to come down to the last 10 seconds with the ball in my hand. Now, some people say, "Oh, that's really pressure." No, it's not. What it is, it's a critical situation, and a lot is being asked of me, and I feel that I can go ahead and perform and do it because I have confidence. Now, am I going to be successful every time? Hell no. Nobody's perfect.
No.
But I sure as hell believe that I would be.
Now, amazing story. You told me a story. I don't know if you want to share, but
yeah, well, that's another one of the things. Perseverance, persistence. I mean, 5 years I chased her. 5 years I chased her.
Yeah, you told me that. I said, oh my God. So you went over all hill and dale to.
Oh yeah, she turned me down twice when I asked her to marry me. Third time was a charm. She says the second one was kind of, wasn't really, she says, that was kind of a weak one. I said, hey, I tried. I knew I wasn't going to be successful. I said, but what the hell? I'll give it a shot, But it was worth every minute of it. I have an amazing wife, and she's provided me with another amazing son, and my youngest son, Canyon, and I'm very, very blessed.
Now, is your wife, is she coaching the Olympics anymore?
No, my wife never coached. My wife was the administrator in charge of all the women's basketball programs for USA Basketball for like 12, 14 years. She was to 3 different Olympics, and she was a special advisor to Val Ackerman, who was the president of the WNBA when the WNBA first started.
Okay.
Was a special consultant and advisor to her. She helped them to get the foreign players because she knew all of them. She helped them set up their training camps. My wife was very instrumental in helping them to get the WNBA off the ground, and she did that for 5 years. And she was an All-American basketball player at Williams.
That's right. I knew that. Yeah. So
and she was the only woman to have her jersey retired at her alma mater.
that's awesome, Rick. This has been awesome, and I want to hear more about this when you get your the Wounded Warrior thing up and running even more. But how can people get in touch with you in regards to? Because I know that certain people would like to help you. What's the website now?
You can check it out and keep this in the back of your head, but eventually I'm going to have a website up and do it. It's going to be it's going to be RBC 24 brands, RBC 24 brands, and we'll eventually have, I'll have something at .com probably. I think we got .com, but RBC 24 brands eventually will be up. We're working on creating the website for that. Put a lot of different things under that business.
Well, that's going to be great. Well, I know we'll be successful, and I just know we'll. And Rick, I want to thank you so much. It's good to see you. You know,
yeah, nice to see you as well. I'm glad if you're healthy and everything else going on. And
He counted on America to be passive. He counted wrong.